From my house to yours, welcome to EMS at Sea Level. I'm particularly excited to have Priyansha Bagaria from Loopr with me today. I've been kind of watching what's going on in the AI space, and it's a particular area of interest in manufacturing. So really keen to talk to people that are doing something new and exciting in that space. So let's start for our viewers and our audience with a quick introduction to you and the business and kind of how you came to create Loopr.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Philip, for having me today, in your podcast, and excited to share a little bit about my journey, my story. So I started Loopr in 2021. I come from a family business background of manufacturing, was the fourth generation entrepreneur in my family business of manufacturing of electrical insulation, which was started in 1960s. So have been born and brought up in that environment. I would say manufacturing and business is something which is in my blood. I mean, I've learned a lot from my family. Seeing my grandfather and my father being in manufacturing for a really really long time, and the business is still up and running and doing really really well. So I saw the problem of quality firsthand while I was in my dad's business, and we were making this specific product where it required real-time monitoring. And as a human, the defect might happen today, but it might not happen for 2 days. And then you can't expect someone to just stand there and keep looking at the product, waiting for defect to happen. And since it was kind of a role, so the defect might go inside and it was really hard to find it later on. So you have to identify it literally when when the process of manufacturing is going on. And that's where we tried to look for solutions. And I'm talking about 2011, and there was hardly anything that existed. And if you want a custom solution, it would have costed you $1 million. And my dad would be like, "You have no business sense. You just go out of the factory, like you don't know what you're talking about." So that problem stayed with me. And fast forward, being in technology for a really long time, working with some of the largest CPG customers across India and Europe, I saw that problem again and again. Just the size and the impact of the problem would differ based on the companies. And yeah, fast forward in 2021, here I am. Like I started the company,
Mm-hmm.
and we are now close to 4 years since having the company, and we've come a long way, and really trying to automate the process of inspection for manufacturing and aerospace companies around the world.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. We started to see some AI use in inspection, particularly around the SMT line and perhaps around box build after that. But actually, to see it happening in mechanical parts, in finishes, in those kind of things, it's really interesting. Um, Quick question: you decided to call the company Loopr. Particular reason for that?
Yeah, so Looper comes from, it's the idea behind it is a continuous learning. So with
Mm,
every AI, wherever you apply AI, especially as a technology in computer vision, you need to make sure that you keep retraining, you do model governance. So it is a continuous improvement, continuous learning, approach
yeah,
that you need to take. You cannot have something that you build today and then you don't need to worry about it. Like it needs continuous learning, and
yeah.
that is what Looper stands for. It's like bringing, you making the solution better and better for your customers, and you're bringing in more and more value
Yeah.
over time to our customers.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's about the system learning, but it's about the company learning and the industry and improving the whole process. What's really interesting is you've already attracted some really high profile companies, both in the aerospace area, but also in automotive and also in some general manufacturing around chemicals and different things. Tell me a bit about the kind of problems you were solving for those customers and what that solution has looked like and done for them.
Yeah, so three reasons which I would say has played a very, very important factor, in technology adoption, something especially for technology like AI in today's world is first is cost of quality is very high. We all saw with one issue, with the largest aerospace company, it impacted them in a really, really long way. So cost of quality is really, really high. And especially in today's environment where inflation is really high, everything is so
Mm,
expensive. Hiring hiring a labor is so expensive as it ever used to. It's
Yeah. And
especially
difficult.
with so many manufacturing jobs moving back to US, you need more and
Mm.
more people to really, work in the factory, and then finding these people is hard. Finding like a good welder is so hard in today's time. So the cost of quality was number one, that companies, they don't want any more recall. They want to really reduce the cost of inspection that they have today. The second one is, your labor is retiring. I mean, you have people who have worked with you for 40 years, and they're moving towards their retirement age. 25% of the workforce that exists today, they are above the age of 50. So you can imagine next few years, they're all going to retire. And how do you fill the gap of that 25%? Like right now, hiring even another additional resource in the company is so hard. And you're talking about
Mm.
a big knowledge gap that's going to exist once all of these people leave. Because generally in manufacturing, what we've seen is lot of knowledge, they stay in it exists in your head. It's based on your
Yeah.
experience, and it's not easy to transfer. Because I mean, you cannot have another John who's John has been doing this work for 30 years, and now you cannot find another John who's going to
Yeah.
replace
The same
with
experience.
the same
Yeah.
experience and the same level of delivery, right? Like you cannot have that. So that's been another big challenge. So I think keeping in mind all of these big reasons, we're seeing a lot of initiative across technology adoption, especially on the quality side. And yeah, I mean, we trying to solve, like, for with in such a short period of time with some of our customers already. We've got such positive feedback that with one of the customers, they were able to reduce 5% of the defect escape, which they didn't even know existed. So they were
Right.
really missing on that, you know that important kind of data. With
Mm.
another customer, they feel that the system, with 2 months of experience, is doing much better results than their manual inspection today. So, these kind of insights really kind of tells you how good or how
Yeah.
important the technology is, and it's going to
Yeah,
deeper
absolutely.
more and more with our customers.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting. I think people sometimes think of the cost of quality as that person that does the inspection or the cost of reworking something that they found, but it's so much more than that. You look at some of the very large brands and the cost they've had recently from recalls, from brand damage. There's a whole lot of things related to that. And key to having that quality is consistency. And as you mentioned, John, um, you know, even if John stays, John's only working on one shift. So if you work a two-shift system, you often have this inconsistency where someone's picking up on one particular thing, someone's picking up on others. And if you can somehow synthesize that knowledge using machine learning AI, you can get so much more from it. Talk a bit about how you gather those images, because you're installing cameras, but you're not a hardware company, so you're kind of agnostic on that. Give me a flavor for what an installation might look like.
Yeah. One of our what I always believe in, that when we go and buy a software or a new technology, we always start small and then expand from there, because
Mm.
it all talks of, I mean, seeing is believing, right? Like once you have something running, then it's a no-brainer. You would like to expand. So it's always about starting small. So for us, that is one strategy that has worked really well with our customers, and now we are to a point where we are like expanding with all of our, every customer that we started working with. So how we go about it is, at this point of time, our solution is completely hardware agnostic. It doesn't matter to us if you need a handheld camera, or your solution needs a tablet, like an iPad or a Surface, or it's something which needs a network camera or an
Mm.
endoscopic camera. We have worked across wide variety of customers, where some of them are making extremely big parts, just to some of them doing an inspection using a microscope. And what we believe in, we want to provide a solution that can easily adapt to really, like affordable hardware, and where
Mm.
the software should be the key, not the other way around. And how we go about it, that if a customer already has an existing camera, we utilize that to start collecting the data and build a model on top of that. Or
Mhm.
the other approach we take is that we basically help the customer find the camera that works best for them, and then go about, collecting data, installing the camera, collecting the data from that camera, training the model, and then deploying it using our application. We have two applications: IQ Inspect, which is focused on identifying defects in manufactured parts. So
Hmm.
all your defects around, welds, bent tips or welding defects or discolored, or your, painting defects, all of those are something that can be solved using IQ Inspect. And then IQ Verify is really focusing on assembly verification. So
Mm.
for big, we're already working across trucking and aerospace companies where we are helping them in verifying critical parts that goes inside, inside the trucks and planes.
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating when you're camera agnostic or almost image agnostic. You can take an image of a large set of components laid up ready to assemble, and you can verify the quality and produce traceability on that. But also you can use an endoscopic camera to get inside a really small space and use those images in a different way. I think that opens up opportunities that are way beyond what human inspection can do. And I guess that's important to your customers. When you visit a customer, I guess the walk around the factory, the you looking at the process must be really important to understand where where you can add value.
Yeah, and again, what we believe in is that you should always try to touch on the problems, which is actually a real problem for you, rather
Mm,
than something, which is like, good to solve, right? Like you're looking for something which is a must to solve, which is like a big
mm,
need right now. So that now I think after visiting so many customers around the world, from being inside a mine to like going on a plane to like, really seeing how a truck is being made. Like I've seen a lot of manufacturing, and it
mm,
fascinates me every time I'm on a factory floor. It feels like, like I'm a kid in a candy store, and there's so much to learn, right? Like it's just so fascinating and exciting to see the process that they're doing. And what we like to do always is understand the problem statements. And every time I go, I'm amazed to see the number of problems that a customer has. And it's not just one, you'll think it's one, but it's like a
mm.
list of problems that they'll come up with, that, okay, we need solution here, or, the multiple places where we can help. And then we help them identify the one which has maximum business value, right? And then
Yeah,
really focusing on that. And what we always do at our end is we don't waste our customers' time, neither our time. So we only focus on and prioritize on the use cases which has that impact and that opportunity to scale. So with our
yeah,
customer, we spend time, and we collect some sample data very quickly and do some tests at our end before we even commit to customers. So these are some of the
yeah,
additional efforts that we do, because if it's something which cannot be solved, we really don't even want to start
yeah.
on that. And we would like to be honest and transparent with our customer. Like I remember very recently, there's this one company who called us, and they need our help to do some inspection of blades, and to really bring down the time of inspection. And when I visited their factory, it was very clear to me that the problem is not with the inspection, but the problem is how they're gathering the data today,
Mm,
with reading the work order, getting some information from SAP and purchase order, and a lot of different data sources. So they needed something which can help, which can really solve the problem of bringing together all the data sources rather than inspection. And I was very clear
yeah.
to them that, hey, if you want to see impact, you have to solve that problem
Do this
first,
first.
then
Yeah,
come to us. So it's just about, building relation, being very transparent, and
yeah,
actually want to help your customer rather than just trying to do some business for the sake of business. Because I always try to keep myself in their shoes and be like, how would I have felt, like, what I
yeah,
would like to get out of this engagement. And that
yeah.
is really what we do with all of our customers.
Yeah, Priyansha, it's fascinating when you talk about being a kid in a candy store. I'm the same when I visit a factory, and my favorite thing is to walk the factory floor with the person that's responsible for ops. And they'll tell you stuff, or the operators will mention stuff as you pass by, and you just learn so much from that. It's really valuable. And I like this idea of proof of concept that has a clear return on investment, that has to be your first port of call. Is it typical that when you've done that and you've successfully shown that, then you can expand into, other inspections, other processes within the factory?
Yeah. So with all of our customers today, like the first set of customers where we did the first pilots, we are expanding with each one of them. So they've all seen the value that we could bring with the first pilot.
Mm,
Even with one of our customers, there was some network issues, and we went above and beyond and got worked around with the challenges and still got them a solution that can start showing them value. So we with each one of them, either they're expanding, they need multiple licenses of the same solution, or
mm,
we are also looking at where are the other, like, what are the other problems that we can solve using our
yeah.
system. So it's been both ways, but you know I mean, I think we've been blessed, and we've been lucky that we've been able to show value quickly to our customers, and we're expanding with every account.
Yeah, and once you do that, once you start to expand and you're getting regular data, is that data something that they can then synthesize and look at, hey, how can we actually improve process rather than just catch the errors?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the way we think about it, like this can be an additional data source to their existing MES systems, or like, these,
Mm,
all of them have like a big QMS, MES systems. And this can be an additional data source that can be incorporated as part of your system. So you don't need to worry about something which is like a standalone application in long term,
mm,
but this can be easily embedded, to your existing system that you have in your factory floor, because then it just becomes part of just one application for you,
yeah.
and it makes it so much easier. And the kind of analysis that we've been able to do for customers with such limited data set, it's mind blowing. Like
Mm,
like I said, that 5%, it can also, it also specified what part were like the biggest issues, what time of the day these issues happened. All of those information we were also able to gather, along with the
mm,
percentage of defects. So
yeah.
these are super helpful, right, for a supervisor or for a plant manager. At the end of the day, if
Mm,
he wants to increase his yield, or he wants to have, like, better production rates, he needs to have an understanding of where the issues uh,
yeah.
are as of today.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And I think when you think of actually rather than just making sure escapes don't occur, you're actually able to improve process and able to improve performance. That's really important. And you mentioned being part of kind of a software ecosystem. You're part of the Microsoft ecosystem. How important is that in being able to connect to everything else?
Yeah, and Microsoft has been a really, really, a great partner for Looper so far, and we have worked on a couple of projects together where we use a lot of Microsoft services in our system and in our application, and it really helps because, again, you don't need to reinvent the wheel when some of these technologies exist, and they've done a brilliant job with the tools that they have created, which we can easily use inside our application. And we are working closely on accounts across manufacturing and aerospace
Mm,
companies. In fact, our solution is live right now at Microsoft's demo center, where there's a handful of partners whose solutions are there, and
yeah.
we had the privilege to have our solutions, which is being seen uh, by, like, 2 to 3 Fortune 1000 companies every day. So that's the kind of
Wow.
visibility we are talking about with our solution.
Yeah, that's really important and it's really valuable. And I think it just gives everybody that confidence and understanding that the Looper software plays nice with all the other softwares. What I think is really interesting is the speed at which the application of AI and machine learning is going, particularly with the combination of vision as well. And when I look back almost a decade ago, we were equally excited about Industry 4.0. We didn't really get to have that digital dividend that we expected. It didn't move at the speed that we hoped. And I think maybe it was overwhelming, but I wonder if some of the ingredient technologies were not there, and maybe AI is one of those. Do you think AI is something that will push us through that barrier of that fourth industrial revolution?
Yeah, so I would say that vision has been around now for close to 8, 9 years. Like it's not a very new technology. I mean, AI and vision has been around, but the advancements that this technology has now, it's like it has come to a point where it can actually be built in a product. Like it was
Mm.
initially in, but it was in a prototype stage where it was just something, where people were trying and playing with it and trying to see how they can use it. But now it has got to a point where the technology has matured over time, and now it's ready to really bring in the value that the companies were perceiving or were trying to perceive like 10 years back. So it is much more mature now. Also, the reason, like, I mean, we all know manufacturing and aerospace are so slow in adopting
Mm.
technology. It's like, the mind, it's the change in mindset. It takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes time. And but with all the recent problems that started from post COVID, from COVID to post
Yeah.
COVID, these are real problems. And we know that when there is, you don't have an option, you need to, you need to evolve, and you need to change your process. And that's, I think, it's a perfect time now where the market really needs, has these problems that needs a solution, and then the technology is also mature enough that it can
Yeah.
solve those problems. So it's a perfect time, keeping in mind those two important topics.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think the timing is the timing's impeccable. You have the technology there that you can do it. But I think what's really important is you have that really interesting combination of understanding AI and what can be done, but also really understanding manufacturing and what needs to be done. And it's the combination of those that's important. I just wanted to switch gear slightly just for a couple of minutes to explore your journey. Woman, immigrant, woman of color. Has that made this whole process more challenging, or do you think your understanding and your ability has just shone through and you've been able to push through? Or how do you see those things? I think, at the moment we're in a period of political turmoil in the world, and some of these issues have become much bigger than they perhaps should be. But I'm just curious whether that's made your journey more challenging.
Yeah, it's funny when I got into this, in this starting a company and entrepreneurship. I remember this saying that exists: "Pale Yale male." So, like, that's a very common
Hmm.
saying that if you are these three, it's just so much easier to raise funds. It's so much
Yeah.
easier to start a company. And I wouldn't believe in all these things, because for me it's like, I mean, looking at my journey, right? Like from where I come from, my dad, he never differentiated between me and my brother. So for me,
Hmm.
it always felt like, that it's gonna be same opportunities for everybody. And I came from that mindset. And for me, it was a awakening call that, yes, I will be very honest that it has not been an easy journey. Of course, there's been a share of struggles. Be it with fundraising, be it with finding customers, especially like
Hmm.
even now when I go to a manufacturing company, in a room there might be, I might be the only one with 10 other male in that room. And it's interesting, right? Like it was hard. It was harder in the beginning, but then it gets better and better over time. And but I would say that it's been a great learning. And having said that, it's been harder. I have come across some amazing people who
Hmm.
have supported me and been a part of my journey, being my first investor, you know who came out of nowhere and like really holded my hand and be like, "Hey, I'm here to support you, and I would like you to
Yeah.
make this company big and work with me." So I would say it's even whatever we've been able to achieve in last 3 to 4 years. There's been a lot of people who have really added a lot of value, and who have it takes an army to really make anything
Yeah, of
possible.
course.
It's never one person thing. So I would never ever, my team has been a big support. I have some amazing people who believed on my ideas and really trying to make that idea turn into real vision. So it's
Yeah.
been like, I would say, lot of support and a lot of help, including, my family. But yeah, I mean, so there've been
Yeah.
a share of both, I would say. It's been hard
Yeah.
sometimes, like super hard, and you'll be like, why are you doing this? But then the second moment you realize that this is the best thing that, you could do
Yeah,
in your life,
absolutely.
especially when you see the
Yeah.
value that you're bringing in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it sounds like, some people that have inspired you on the way, starting with your father who had that belief that you should all be treated the same, which is a great starting point. And it feels like there are more young, dynamic women in the industry now than we've ever seen before. And maybe that pale male stale generation is kind of working its way through the industry, and I think the industry is the better for it and more exciting for it. And I think if we can focus on talent and ideas and kind of drive and passion, then we'll get to where we want to get to. Priyansha, such a pleasure to chat to you, such a pleasure to learn about Loopr. We'll speak again soon, but in the meantime, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Philip. It was a pleasure to be here and, talk about my journey. Thank you so much.